Welcome back to Mr. Slover's Math. Today we're going to learn about graphing on a coordinate plane. So this first part is just a review of what you may or may not have seen before. It's just a refresher. So it's asking you to label what you can. One thing we notice is the x-axis, which is going left to right. The y-axis is going up and down. These are your different quadrants. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Your origin is at 0, 0. And then you got your slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. And then down here is just seeing if you remember how to graph. If you don't, that's okay. We'll just go to the next page where it tells us right here. So an ordered pair is always listed x comma y. So the first value is always x. The second value is always y. The x value tells us whether we move left or right. You're moving left if it's negative, and you're moving right if the x value is positive. The y value tells us whether we move up or down. You move up if it's positive, and you move down if it's negative. So down here, example 1. So example 1 is asking us to describe using up, down, left, or right where you would plot the following points. Pretty much example 1 is asking you to describe how to get to a location on your graph. So it says -4, 8. Well, -4 is the first value that tells me I'm going left. I don't need to say left -4. I'm just going to say left. And then how many units? 4. The second value says 8. That tells us we're going to go up 8 units. So the next one, right 3, up 5. Now notice letter C and letter F only have one line because there's only one type of direction that you're going to state. So this says 0, -2. So 0 in the x values means we're not going up or down. We're not going left or right, I should say. So that's why it just stays. The only thing we need to identify is what the -2 is. It tells us we're going down 2. So down here, in example 2 is asking you to graph the points. All I did was remind us that the first value, because it's negative, is telling us to go left. And then the second value is positive, tells us to go up. So if that's a benefit, write it on each problem. If not, then don't. So down here is just the opposite. So now I give you the point, and you have to find the location on the graph. Remember, you're going right or left first, and then up or down. So to get to A, I went right 5 and up 3. Notice I labeled it A, and then I have parentheses. In order for you to denote something is an ordered pair, you have to have those parentheses with a comma. And then the last part is identifying our slope and our y-intercept. So slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Well, the y-intercept tells us where to start on the y-axis. It means where does it cross the y-axis. That's the y-intercept. The slope is the rate of change. You may have also heard of it as the rise over the run. So example 4 and 5, both are along the same lines. State the slope and the y-intercept. So the slope is the coefficient of the x value. So there's my x, the number in front of it. The coefficient is my slope, so the 3 and the 3. The y-intercept is the number after the x, where it crosses the y-axis. We take the sign that's with it, so this says plus 3. So my y-intercept is 3. You may be thinking, well, Mr. Slover, you didn't put the plus there. If you want to, put the plus. But without the plus, it's assumed that it's a positive 3. For letter B, there is no printed number in front of the x. But we should know that the coefficient is a 1. So my slope is 1. And then my y-intercept, remember we're taking the sign with it, is -1. So -1. My C, or for letter C, you have the number in front of the x. The coefficient is -18, so that's my slope. and there's nothing after the x. If there's nothing there, your y-intercept is 0. And there's some more examples. Example 5 is special cases. That's why it says special cases. So here, notice that it just says y equals 5 and y equals -1. There's no other variable, just the letter y. That means we have a horizontal line, which is going from left to right. That's a horizontal line. Think of the horizon going left to right. Your slope for any horizontal line is 0. Your y-intercept is whatever the y value is. So here I graphed so you can visually see y equals 5. I went up 5 on the y-axis, put a point, and then I went left to right. It crosses the y-axis, so here's the y-axis. It crosses the y-axis at 5. That's my y-intercept. Now if I look down here, this one's a little bit different. I'm only asking you to identify the m, or the slope. And that's because there is no y-intercept. Okay? It's not going to cross the y-axis. Now if I gave you the equation x equals 0, that would be the only time. Okay? But for purposes of this class, I'm not going to do that. So you will not have a y-intercept if I give you a vertical line equation, like x equals -1 or x equals 15. So I graphed a random x equals, this is x equals -6. It's not going to cross the y-axis. My slope is undefined. Okay, mathematically, you end up with a slope of something over 0. We can't have that. Okay, you can't divide by 0, so we're just going to say that our slope is undefined.